Okay, good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. On your Schoology page, you have week 2 ready to go. When you click on that, you'll see your week at a glance at the top. When you click on the week at a glance, it'll show you just kind of what we're doing and what are the main purposes of all the different assignments that we're doing. Then here, you'll see where it says assessments. These are the things that I'm going to probably take for grades or something that you need to make sure that you have done that I can check. Today, you are going to submit a revision assignment, and I need to make sure that I have that in order for us to progress on Thursday. So you'll just kind of see some of the different things that we're doing. So that might help you organize your week, especially if you're somebody who has a lot to do during the week. Check out your week at a glance. Every single teacher should have that posted for you. That way you can check them on Sundays before the week. Okay, for today's assignment, I wanted to make sure that we honored our King Chadwick Boseman, who unfortunately passed away on Friday. He obviously made a profound impact on a lot of people's lives. So I wanted to make sure that we took a second to just kind of think about the legacy that he leaves behind. Some of you have not completed your Flipgrid videos from last week, and please expect a text message or an email from me. But you should know, I think at this point, whether or not you've updated it. Those were due today, like before today. So please try to get that done as soon as possible. The writing assignment, I know for at least 7th period, I'm not sure if the actual attachment was there, but a lot of you were able to, improvise and problem solve and just write it down and send it. That works. Everybody else, I did post the template so that way you were able to have access to that. So try to get that done before you start today's lesson, please. Okay, and then we're going to talk about anecdotes today. And we are going to look at this PowerPoint, okay? And then your assignment is here. So when you open the PowerPoint, there's just some things to kind of get us thinking about what anecdotes are. Why do we study them in English? So essentially, anecdotes are just personal stories where we try to make a connection and communicate an idea about something. So I've been thinking a lot about Marvel movies, and I think about Thanos and his purpose in all of the Avenger last 2 movies, at least for Infinity War and Endgame. And there's a part in Infinity War where he explains kind of why he wants to wipe out half the population. So we're going to watch that real quick. I'm just going to kind of scoot him along to get about his home on
I take it to Mars, Dad. This day extracts a heavy toll. Still, he accomplished his mission.
You may regret that. He brought you face to face with the master of the mystic arts.
Where do you think he brought you?
Let me guess. Your home?
It was. And it was beautiful. Titan was like most planets. Too many mouths, not enough to go around. And when we faced extinction, I offered a solution.
Genocide.
But random, dispassionate, fair to rich and poor alike. They called me a madman. And what I predicted came to pass.
Congratulations, you're a prophet
I'm a survivor.
who wants to murder trillions.
With all 6 stones, I could simply snap my fingers. They would all...
Okay, so that's the whole anecdote about Titan, right? It was beautiful. There were too many mouths to feed. So he relates what happened on Titan to a bigger idea of what's happening all over the universe. And his purpose is to restore, all of these different sources because they are finite, right? At least that's his justification, whether or not, excuse me, we believe it. So the purpose of his anecdote, again, was to explain what happened on Titan, was to help us understand in the movie, like, why is he motivated to do this? Why is this such a big deal? He literally kills people and wipes out, planets, and that's why he's motivated to do that. It's also the seriousness of the issues that were faced on Titan about poverty and starvation and violence, right? It wasn't as though he was murdering people for no reason in his mind. In his mind, it was justified, right? It was to suggest also that he was wronged by his people. They said he was a madman. They didn't see his intentions behind why he felt that this should have been the most equitable solution. Okay, so he's motivated by a lot of things, not only just his intentions, but also in retaliation for them not listening to him or validating him. So why we study anecdotes in the English classroom? Very similar, right? We discuss the importance of information that we're giving, right? Especially when it's important to us to gain a new perspective. This helped us in terms of Thanos figure out this is where he was coming from. And then also to understand why certain events took place. When you think back what happens to Gamora when she's younger, that's what was happening. That's what he was trying to do. And then ultimately to understand the motivation of characters, authors, or whoever. So we're going to go back into our writing from last week. And if you remember, this was my example. And so you can go back to last Friday and see my example. But what I want us to think about is, where might I need a little bit more information? Because I don't really give specific examples. I'm just like, this was the week. This is how I felt. I had a change of mind, and this is why that matters, okay? But I still need a little bit more. I don't really have the actual personal story in terms of details. So I chose the second paragraph to revise. And specifically this sentence, I say, for the first 3 days, we had to basically unlearn everything we know is best for students in a physical setting and pretty much change how we do everything. Okay, well, what happened in the first 3 days, right? I don't tell you that. When I say unlearn everything we know is best for students, well, what does that mean? What is best for students, and how do I have to unlearn that? And changing everything is just so vague, right? Like, what specifically do I need to change? And why would that influence my negative attitude? Why would I have to vent to my family and my friends? So those are just some things that I felt in that particular setting or sentence that I could add a little bit more information. So here's my change. So rather than just this one, okay, these 3 days I had to unlearn everything and everything changed. Okay, well, what? I tried to answer these questions that I had as I went back and I reread. So I said, for the first day back, I was part of the group who were able to work from home, while the other half of Brandeis teachers had to work from the building due to continuing health protocols or health safety protocols. Throughout over 8 hours of staff meetings over 3 days, so there's another detail, there were 10 major changes to our traditional way of going to school and teaching our classes. There's something a little bit more concrete, right? Now I can talk to you a little bit more about those changes, and then I give you context of how many hours on Zoom I spent just hearing about changes. So that could tell you a little bit more about my mindset. For example, and here's where I give a detailed change. Teachers were now required to provide pre-recorded daily video instruction through Schoology, in addition to providing live instruction via Zoom daily each class period. So that's a change. Not only do I have to teach a lesson and get prepared for it, I have to do it twice. Actually, I have to do it multiple times. I have to do it before I even teach it, and then I have to give it every single class period. So that's a lot of work. That's a lot more work than we are used to. Additionally, here's another change. We now were responsible for knowing which students were on live Zoom calls, logging into Schoology on their own time, and were required to increase the number of grades we take per grading period. So now attendance is crazy. There's a lot of different things I have to do. Now I have to take more than the grades that we did before, when that was already a struggle as an English teacher. All of these changes were overwhelming as I continued to receive a list of things I could not do and choices I no longer had. So now that gives you a little bit more of a personal story. It explains what I went through, what my mindset was, and then you can kind of see how anger, frustration, and uncertainty were a result of those specific examples. Okay, so in thinking about these revisions, how do they change the effect of this paragraph? Before, it just seems kind of like, oh, she's complaining, whatever, everything is new. But maybe looking at my story and my exact experience, especially when I'm talking about these particular emotions, maybe these specific examples gave you a little bit more detail about my tone, my attitude, just exactly what had to change and how overwhelming those changes are. Okay, so it's just a little bit, I just want us to focus on one area. So you're going to need to go back into your assignment from last week and open up that document, and you're going to copy the original writing that you did and the space provided on the template, and then you're going to revise one area, very much like I did here. You're going to pinpoint one specific area, figure out which details do I need to know in order to understand your behaviors or your motivation, or maybe why you changed your mind, what specifically happened here. Okay, and then you're going to revise it, and you're going to highlight your revisions very much like I did in this slide. Okay, make sure you consider the purpose of using anecdotes in your writing. So when you go to the assignment, all it is a simple graphic organizer in which you're going to copy and paste your stuff from last week, like I mentioned. Right in this top box, you'll delete this when you're done. Then here, you're going to highlight whatever it is that you're going to change or update in blue. So very much like my first slide, I gave you the original, and then I kind of told you there what I was planning on changing, and then I changed it. And there was that whole red section on my example that shows you all the additional details. Okay, that's all I want you to do, is just to consider that. You don't need to do anything else. So when considering what details you're going to give me in your anecdote in this revision, remember, think about what's important. Okay, what information do I need in order to see your perspective a little bit better or understand your reasons behind changing your mind? Okay, I just want us to try it, and when you're done, you're going to go back to Schoology and press submit. Okay, and we'll look at these again a little bit later in the week. Again, it's important that you finish Friday's writing assignment because you can't revise something you haven't written yet. So if you're struggling through that, you need to reach out to me. Make sure you've connected to Remind. Make sure you message me through Schoology so that I can help you a little bit better. Okay? All right, we'll see you guys later today. Let me know if you have any questions.